A factory worker named Elisa sits at her kitchen table in Berlin. It is 1919. The war is over. Germany has lost. The streets are quiet again. Elise has her life savings in cash, money she earned over 20 years of work. She thinks the hard part is over. She is wrong. Over the next 3 years, while the country rebuilds, while politicians promise stability, while newspapers talk about recovery, Elise's savings lose almost all of their purchasing power. Not in a crash, not in a panic, quietly, invisibly, while everyone is focused on moving forward. One day, she walks into a market with the same money she saved for decades and realizes it can't buy what it used to, not even close. She didn't lose it gambling. She didn't make a bad decision. She did everything right, and still, she lost. Because the system changed and she didn't see it coming. Here is the pattern. The war creates a premium. Fear flows into the dominant system. Money moves where it feels safest. Currencies stabilize. Markets calm down. Everyone concludes the worst is over. They are wrong. Because war does not remove risk, it delays it. The cost is still there. Hidden. Unpaid. War is expensive. Every country that fights it ends up with more debt than when it started. That debt gets handled one of two ways. You tax people, which is visible and unpopular, or you inflate the currency, which is quiet and gradual. Most governments choose the second. At first, nothing looks broken. Savings accounts still show the same numbers. Bonds still pay interest. Everything appears normal. But underneath, the value is changing. Slowly. Then the war ends. The fear fades. The premium disappears. And what was hidden becomes visible. The debt remains. The money supply expands. The currency weakens. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but consistently. And by the time people notice, the damage is already done. France, 1918. The war is over. France has won. The streets are full. People are celebrating. A retired schoolteacher named Margaret has her savings in the bank. Money she earned over decades of work. She feels safe. She is wrong. Over the next 8 years, while France celebrates victory, while politicians talk about reconstruction, while newspapers focus on reparations, her savings lose most of their purchasing power. Not in a crash, not in a panic, quietly, invisibly. London, 1946. Britain has just won the Second World War. The empire still stands. The pound is strong. A retired civil servant holds his life savings in government bonds. He feels secure. He is wrong. Over the next decades, the pound loses most of its real value. Not because Britain lost, but because the war cost more than anyone admitted. Different countries, different wars, same outcome. Victory on the surface, loss underneath. Every time. Now, look at today. The world feels stable again. Markets are functioning. Currencies look strong. Headlines sound controlled. The crisis feels contained. People feel safe. They are making the same conclusion every generation makes. That this time is different. It isn't. Because the same forces are already in place. Rising debt, expanding deficits, more money entering the system than leaving it. The cost of conflict hasn't disappeared. It has just been delayed. For now, the system holds. Confidence remains. The currency stays supported. But that support is not permanent. It depends on belief, on perception, on stability that can change quickly. And when that perception shifts, the underlying reality takes over. The debt is still there. The currency still absorbs the cost. And the adjustment begins. Not loudly, not all at once, but in the same way it always has. Slow, quiet, and difficult to notice until it's too late. Now, what actually survives? History is very clear on this. Not everything makes it through. Savings accounts don't. Long-term bonds don't. Paper wealth doesn't. They look safe right up. Until they aren't. Because they depend on the system that is absorbing the damage. And when that system adjusts, they adjust with it. Down, quietly. But some things hold. Not because they are perfect, but because they are independent. Physical gold. It does not rely on a promise. It does not depend on a bank. Across every currency decline in history, it preserves purchasing power. Not instantly, but consistently. Silver, more volatile, less stable in the short term, but when the adjustment accelerates, it tends to move faster. It falls harder early and rises harder later. Productive? Land. The longest-term asset. It generates value. It produces income, and that income rises with the same inflation that destroys paper savings. And then there is one exception. Short-term. Instruments. Not to grow wealth, but to survive the transition. They reset. They adjust. They don't get locked into the past. 4 positions, different roles, same principle. They don't depend on the system staying stable. And that is why they survive when it doesn't. Now, here is the part most people miss. The people who lose in these cycles say, not reckless. They are not careless. They are disciplined, patient, responsible. They save, they plan, they trust the system they were taught to trust. And that is exactly why they are exposed. Because the system changes before they do. Elise didn't panic. She didn't speculate. She held her savings. She followed the rules. And she still lost. Not all at once. Not in a single moment. But slowly until it was undeniable. That is how wealth disappears in every post-war cycle. Not through collapse, but through erosion. The pattern has not changed. The timeline has not changed. Only the people change. Each generation believes it will be different. Each generation is wrong. The question is not whether the shift will happen. It always does. The question is, will you recognize it early? Or only after your purchasing power has already been taken from you? Every cycle ends the same way. Not with a warning, not with a headline, but with a realization. Too late. The people who saw it early never looked smart at the beginning. They looked cautious, unnecessary, even paranoid, while everyone else felt comfortable. Because comfort is always highest, right before the shift. When the system still works, when money still feels stable, when saving still feels safe, that is when decisions matter most. Not after the change, but before it. Elise didn't get that moment twice. Most people don't. By the time the loss is visible, the opportunity is gone. The adjustment has already happened. The value has already moved. And what remains is explanation, not recovery. This is not about predicting the future. It's about recognizing a pattern that has already repeated more times than people remember. The system will adjust. It always does. The only question is, will you adjust with it, or after it forces you to? If this made you think differently about money, you're already ahead of most. But this is just the surface. On Money Drift, we go deeper, where research meets reality, where patterns become clarity, and where smart decisions start before the crowd reacts. Don't wait to learn the hard way. Subscribe, Money Drift, and stay one step ahead.